Hey guys, it's Matthias from Developma, and today I'm going to show you Flutter Map app. Actually, we are going to create this app together. So let's take a look how it works. So we have a Flutter Map widget, we have text field, we can, for example, write London here. Yeah, we have it. By tapping on the list item, it directs us to London. Actually, London was initial position of this map. Here we have two icons. This is responsible for clearing the input. That is only icon without any action behind it. Let's try with something else. Like for example, Las Vegas in Nevada, USA. We have a scrollable list. The dimension of this scrollable list is the same. It is exactly as good as the numbers of list items. And when we tap on the list item, it directs us to Las Vegas in this case. What do we have in this app? We have we are going to use BLoC, Flutter BLoC business logic component for state management, for architecture, for idea of development and structure. We are going to split our project into packages. Like we'll have a separate package for API client. We will have LocationsRepository, and of course we'll have our widgets and state management, which is BLoC. We'll have this Flutter Map widget, which we'll take from PubDev, and yeah, here's the Autocomplete widget, and I think that's all. Also, we'll use JSON serializable and also some other tools. So let's start. Actually, today I couldn't find any good video or even article about how to combine Flutter Map, I mean this widget which we can find here on the PubDev Flutter Map package with BLoC. So that is why I was thinking that it's a good idea to record a video for you. So let's start with our project. We are going to use Position Stack API. It's free, as you can see. It gives us very nice response. We have a lot of informations here, but what we really need is actually the coordinates of the place which we are looking for. And another advantage of this that it is for free, so we can get free API key, free plan, so it is 25,000 requests per month. So yeah, let's go with that. So just fill this form, and by tapping sign up you will receive your free API key. I've already done it, so I have this key, and we can also take a look at the documentation. So we have key. Actually, there's no example, there's no Flutter example, so I think that this video also will be beneficial for you. Okay, so let's move to our terminal and let's create our project. That we are in a good folder where we want to create our project. So I'm gonna say Flutter create and the project name. And probably most of you will go this way, and that's nothing bad. In my work, I use very good CLI. So you can find it here, GitHub account and a very good CLI. That's a code generator. It makes your project initialization, creating the project, much faster, much easier. So I really recommend you to use it as well. That's free. And probably you can find in my other videos some explanations and videos about it. Very good CLI package. So I'm gonna say very good, create, and the name of the app would be Flutter Maps. Yeah, it takes a little bit longer than Flutter create, because it will create much more files, but yeah, we have it. And then I'm gonna say code and name of our project, Flutter Maps, and it will open my VS Code. If you want to have this command as well in your terminal, just Command-Shift-P and code, and you have this install code command in path. Okay, let's take a look if this app was created successfully, if we can run it. Probably it will take some time for building this iOS app for the first time. But during this time, let's take a look what is created. If you are new, if you have not heard about very good CLI, we have, of course, Counter app, which is a default app. Also, when you use Flutter Create, default command, but it uses BLoC. So we have default Counter feature. As you can see in lib folder, we have other folders. So this project is split into features folders. Also we have app here, which is responsible. Yeah, we have material app here. We'll have team, app team here, localization delegates and others. I'll show you later how we can customize it. And we have Counter folder. In the feature folder, as you can see, we have state management, so qubits, but we are going to use BLoC. View, in view folder we have page, and we will have also third folder widgets, where we're gonna store our widgets. Also we use barrel files, so we have exports here, just to make less imports at the beginning of the file. And as you can see, we have LTN. That's a it is responsible for translations. So you don't want to include the strings, I mean translations, words in your code. So I'm sure that you already use it. And what do we have in our pub spec? We have some packages imported already. So in dependencies we have BLoC. Of course we are going to use BLoC state management, business logic component. We have Flutter BLoC and other useful things. Very nice. It's very good analysis. It gives you a lot of nice comments and features. Okay, so let's start. We have our project. It runs. It works. So let's start, and let's add some dependencies here. I'm adding dependencies using pubspec. You can find pubspec in your VS Code extension. Pubspec assist. I highly recommend you to use it. And we are going to add some dependencies. And for now, it would be equatable. It would be We have already Flutter BLoC. It would be Flutter Map. Yes, we want to use this package, Flutter Map. So Flutter Map, add PubSpec assist, add Flutter Map. As you can see, PubSpec assist help us to add to dependencies the latest version of the package. So that's also pretty cool. But you have to be careful if the version of your Flutter in your project is not latest. So you also should be careful. Okay, so for now that's it, and we can go further. So let's start with packages. So I'm gonna go to terminal, and in terminal I'm gonna say make a directory packages, and as you can see, packages folder was created. And yeah, we have our API, we have some documentation, so let's create the package location API client. For that, I also use a very good CLI command. So I'm just paste it. You can see very good create, and here's the package name. So our package name would be. Also, you can find it. All of this you can find it in this very good CLI documentation on GitHub, so don't worry. So very good, create. The name of the package would be location API client, and the description is Flutter package, package that handles location API requests. Enter. Also, you can use just default, package creator comment. So as you can see, we are not in packages folder. That's one bad. So I think that we can just move it. This folder was created here, so we can simply move it to packages. My bad. So now, yes, we have it in our packages folder. Let's go to PubSpec of this newly created package, and let's add some dependencies. We're going to use JSON annotation and HTTP. And also let's add some dev dependencies, also using PubSpec assist. That would be build runner and JSON serializable. It seems we have all our dependencies and dev dependencies that we need, so let's start with creating some models. So let's go to src folder and create models folder and location_data model. Also, let's create a barrel file, models.dart, and export this location data. And also let's create another export here, src/models.dart. Now we are in location data, and we can create our first model. So location data class. Let's start with some properties of this model. So I'm gonna say final string name final string label, and of course final double latitude and longitude. Okay, now command plus dot on location data, and we're gonna generate a constructor. Of course, it is const constructor, and we're gonna move it above other members. Document all public members, so let's add some documentation here. Okay, it seems we have all we need. So we have our location data model. Now let's create the serialization. So I'm gonna go to pub.dev, and I found JSON serializable package. We already added to our dependencies, and here we have some nice example how we can use it. So let's copy these 3 lines. And at the top of our class, we should have import JSON annotation. We should have also information that it is a part of location_data.g file, and we include JSON serializable. And then we have these 2 methods here, so from JSON and to JSON. Yeah, actually that's it. We don't need 2 JSON methods, we only fetch data from database. So I'm gonna copy and paste only this from JSON, and also change the class name here. Okay, and as we said, we do not need 2 JSON methods, so create to JSON false inside JSON serializable annotation. Okay, and I think that's all. Documentation says that once we do it, we can use flutter pap run build runner build command in our terminal in our package directory. So we in terminal, I'm gonna say packages and location API client, and here I'm gonna say fvm and paste this comment and press enter. Yes, and as we can see, LocationData.g file is generated successfully. We have it, we have this method, so it seems it works. Also document all public members, so I'm gonna say that it returns location data from JSON. Okay, so we have our model and serialization. Now we are ready to create our location API client. Let's start with importing the HTTP package as HTTP, and import the model that we've just created. So that would be location API client, because we have this parallel file. And in the beginning, we should initialize the HTTP client. and have it as a parameter in our constructor. And we have it. So now, next thing which we're gonna do is to create a method, get location. So we're gonna return a list of location, but that would be future list of location data. And the name of the method would be get locations. And the only parameter that would be taken would be location as a string. So of course that would be asynchronous method, and we're gonna have HTTP request. So let's start from query parameters. So let's go back to documentation, and documentation says positionstack.com. Documentation says that we should have a query and access key. Of course, we don't have Flutter example, so I'm going to show you how to do it. But two parameters should be access key and our query, which in our case would be just a name of the location we're going to find. So I'm going to say access key, and here we should paste our access key. We don't have it yet, so let's create a static const above, and that would be string API key, yes, and here I'm gonna paste this key. And this video will be published and you know my key, but I'm gonna delete this account on this positionstack.com website, so don't be surprised if this app will not be working when you clone it from my GitHub. Just paste your own API key here. And yes, we can use it here in a access key. So I'm gonna use API key, and another parameter would be query, and that's simply our location. Of course, that's a map, so that should be like this. And next thing should be URI. So I'm gonna say URI.http, and here I'm gonna use HTTP because in normal situation we want to use HTTPS, but unfortunately in free plan it's not possible. So if you want for your commercial app use HTTPS, you should upgrade your position stack plan, and it would be paid for sure. What we're gonna have here, that would be our URL. So let's add another static const string, and that would be our API base URL, and that's api.positionstack.com. And next thing when we go back to documentation, you see that we have HTTPS api.positionstack.com, and we have this v1/forward. That's a method that we should include also in our HTTP request. So let's add it. Here I have a position. Yeah, sorry for that, positionstack.com. So let's create another static const string, and let's name it forward method. And that would be as in the documentation. I'm going to copy this /v1/forward. Yes, that's the same like documentation says. And now we can use our URI.http and use here our API base URL, our forward method, and of course query parameters. We have it, so we can try to receive our response to our request. So I'm going to say final response equal, and here we should use await keyword. HTTP client.get, and what should be inside? Our URI and headers. Yes, documentation says URI and headers. So I'm gonna create these headers as well. So let's do it above the method, because yeah, it would be const. So I'm gonna say final headers equals and content type. Actually, that would be the same. Application.json, application/JSON. Okay, content type. And now we can use these headers. And now we can use these headers in our HTTP client.get headers_headers. Nice. Now we have our response, and what if there's some failure in our response? So definitely we should check status code of our response. So if response.statuscode does not equal to 100, well, probably we want to throw some exception. So let's briefly create that above the class. So I'm gonna say class get locations request failure implements exception. Let's document it. So exception thrown when get locations method fails. And if we are here, let's copy this and let's create another exception that would be get locations deserialization failure, and exception thrown when location data from JSON fails. So that's the serialization failure exception. And now, what if the status code of our response does not equal to 100? So we want to throw an exception, throw get locations request failure. Now, let's create list of locations. That would be empty list of location data. And I'm gonna say that JSON list equals JSON decode response.body as map string dynamic and here's the data. Okay, and since we have our JSON list, let's create for loop, and that would be JSON location in JSON list, and for every item of this I'm gonna say final location equals location data from JSON, and the parameter is JSON location as map string dynamic. Okay, so now we are going to add this location to our locations list and return list of all locations. And that's all. But what if we'll have some error here in the deserialization? So let's create a try catch, and let's move all of these to try, and in catch let's throw the exception get locations deserialization failure. Yeah, we also want to document all public members, so get locations by name. And we have it. Our Location API client package is ready, so let's take a look how it works and test it. So let's go to our pub spec and add this package to our dependencies. So Location API client, and we should provide a path, which is of course packages, and in packages we have Location API client package. And after saving that, let's go to our main development, and here first we need to import this package and then initialize it. And now let's try to call a method getLocations. So first we need mark our main function as asynchronous function, and then location equals await location API client dot get locations, and location name would be London. Let's try with London at the beginning. I'm gonna create also the suggestions, or maybe labels, empty list of string, and then for location in locations I'm gonna add location label to labels list. Of course that should be .add. Yeah, now it looks better, and let's print it. So labels, and yes, I'm gonna restart this app, and let's take a look here. We have a list of locations. For example, if I will change it to Warsaw, we have also a list of locations. So it looks like our location API client works correctly. So for now, let's remove this, and also we don't need asynchronous function here. In next step, let's create a locations repository. So again, in terminal, we are in our packages directory, and here I'm gonna say very good, create my Flutter package. Actually, that's a command that we used lastly. This time we're gonna create locations repository, and description would be Flutter package that handles locations related requests. This time we were in packages directory, so hopefully it will create this package in this folder. Nice. So let's take a look. What do we have here? Again, at the beginning, let's go to our pubspec.yaml, and at the beginning we should import our location API client. So I'm going to add this package to dependencies. Location API client, and we should provide path to this package, and that would be in the same directory in packages folder, and here location API client. Next thing we are going to do is creating a model. So in locations repository in SRC folder, I'm going to create models, and of course location.dart, and that would be our model. Of course, I'm going to create also a barrel file, models.dart with export. I'm going to export this, oh sorry, not models, I'm going to export this location.dart, and add export also to locations repository barrel file, src models.dart. So let's create this location model. Actually, that would be very similar to our location data. So I'm gonna copy all of this and maybe just remove all the things that are not needed. This time that would be location. and we do not have from JSON method here, and the rest look pretty good. Also, we need the method which will help us to transform location data model into location. So here on the right hand side we have location data. So I'm gonna create a factory location dot from location data, and of course as a parameter I'm gonna pass location data and name it data. We don't have location data here, we cannot use that, so first we should import location API client, and here, yes, it is available. And what we want to return is location model, and that's pretty easy because this model properties of this model are the same. So I'm gonna just add data dot, and that's pretty easy how it looks like. Also, let's document this member so it returns the instance of location based on location data. And you may ask why we are doing this. I mean, these two models, so location and location data, data, these two models look the same. I mean, they have the same properties. Why we are doing a second model for that? So the answer is that these models are in different separated packages. So this model is the model which we use for API client, and here's the model that we use for repository. And yes, in our case the properties are the same, but it's easy to imagine what if repository model should be different. So for example, let's imagine that we want to calculate the distance between points, two points when we have coordinates. Of course, there are packages for that, but imagine also that we want to add another property, for example, change this label or adjust it somehow. Our position stack, when we go to documentation and to the model, I think that I saw somewhere the time in this specific region. So you know, the time zone, I think it is somewhere here. So for example, time. And let's imagine that in our repository we want to calculate the difference in time between one location and another one. So such a things we are going to do in repository, not API client, and many other things. So also let's imagine that even now, if you have two models and they have the same properties, and after some time one of the developers want to add some property, well, you don't want to change your model in your API client, for example, because of type of the data. So just to make it easier, just to make it clearer, that's a pretty nice idea that we use in our work with our team. Okay, so we have our location model, and now we are ready to create a locations repository. So let's go there and let's import at the beginning our package, so location API client. Then we should import also our model, so import locations repository. Then we will have a location model. And actually the only method here would be get locations. So we are going to call a location API client and use this method. So to do it, first we should initialize our location API client and pass it as a parameter when initializing this repository. So I'm going to create location API client with underscore, and in parameters I'm going to require location API client. Yeah, seems it works. So now we have it and we can use it. So let's create the method getLocations. Again, it will return us a future list of, this time, location, not LocationData, and we name it the same, so getLocations. And as a parameter, also we are going to pass a string location. And the only thing that we want to do here is just a call location API client. So I'm gonna say final locations data equals await location API client dot get locations, and of course location is the same location like in parameter. So yes, we have it, and then we are simply we'll try to convert our list of location data into list of locations. So I'm going to create empty list of location. And now for every data in locations data, I'm gonna add this location from location data to our locations list. Okay, and this method will return locations. Get locations that matches given name. Okay, so we have our locations repository, and here's the structure that it is really important to have this command to use it. So as you can see, we've just created locations repository. Earlier we created location API client, and now we are going to work on presentation layer. So the stream of data, stream of information should be, we take data from API client, then we pass it to repository. We treat repository as a source of knowledge, a source of truth in our application, and then we pass all of this information to our presentation layer. So we have data layer, domain layer as repository, and then we are going to work on presentation layer. So that would be of course widget, but also state widget state management, it would be BLoC business logic component. So let's start. Let's start from removing this counter feature folder. I'm gonna delete it. And let's create new feature folder that would be map. And in map, we'll have a view, widgets, and BLoC. But first we will create also a parent file. So map.dart. And in map, we'll have BLoC. So let's create BLoC, name it map. Usually I start creating the BLoC from state. So our map state would have two properties. Actually, that would be the same like in repository. So like in the model location. So we'll have latitude and longitude without these documentation comments. Yeah, we can generate constructor for that. This field should be required. By tapping command plus dot, I can generate equatable. And I can generate copy width. Okay, now let's move to map event. And here we're gonna create actually one event that would be show location. And it would be very similar to our state because it will have two properties, latitude and longitude. Also, we want to generate constructor that would be const constructor. We can sort it, and that's it. We have our show location event. And now, since we have event and state, let's go to map BLoC. And at the beginning, let's set initial state, so map state. And as a parameters, we should pass latitude and longitude. But at the beginning, as an initial state, let's create const initial latitude and initial longitude. And I'm gonna copy and paste London coordinates as a default, as an initial state. Okay, so we have our initial state. And now let's move to event handler. So I'm gonna create separate method for that, just to make it clearer. So our state, our event is show location. And I'm gonna create a method underscore on show location, and this method should return actually void. Name is on show location. And you know, to be honest, I always forgot what should be here as a parameter, but don't worry, just hover the parameters here and you have map event, and as emit you have emitter, so just copy and paste it. And now we can remove it, and let's create a event handler. So on show location event we want to emit state, copy this state with latitude from event, sorry, not map event, but of course that would be show location event, and also copy longitude from event. Nice, so we have our block created. Next step, let's create Flutter Map widget. So I'm gonna go to widgets and create map widget. .dart. And here we want to import our Flutter Map package. Also, we need to import lat_long2 and of course material. That should be even first. Okay, and we're going to create a map widget, which is stateless widget actually, and as a properties of this class we're gonna pass latitude and longitude as like in the model. Nice, so we have it. And now let's go to documentation, Flutter Map on pep.dav. We have documentation there. And nice demonstration example how to use it. I'm going to copy this example and paste it to our code. So I'm going to return Flutter Map. And now let's customize it a little bit. So first in build method, I'm gonna create a variable searching point, and that would be lat_nlg instance from this package, and as a parameters it takes latitude and longitude. Notice that it is these are not name parameters but position, so I'm just gonna pass latitude and longitude from our widget. Next, we have something like map options, and here we have a center. So as a center, we're gonna pass searching point, and let's set zoom on 11, and let's add this property keep alive and true. And maybe another thing, let's delete this not rotated widget. And now I think that yeah, we can sort imports and our map widget is ready. Maybe later we'll customize it a little bit, but now let's display it. So let's go to our view. First we may create a widgets.dart barrel file with export map widget. And let's go to view, and in view let's create MapPage.dart. Also we can create a barrel file, view.dart, with export of this file. And in map we have also export of BLoC, export of view.dart, and export of widgets.dart. So let's go to our map page and import material.dart, of course, at the beginning. I'm gonna create a map page, which is stateless widget. Yes, we're gonna use BLoC, so let's import Flutter BLoC. And we want to use our widgets, actually one widget, map widget. So let's import also these widgets, actually whole functionality. So I'm gonna import Flutter Maps, map.dart. Okay, what we should have here, instead of container, I'm gonna return a scaffold, and in scaffold we have body, and as a body it would be a map widget. Of course, we should paste something here. For now, we don't know what, so let's leave it for now. So we should take these values from our BLoC. So first, we should provide our BLoC, and as you remember, we should provide our BLoC at the bottom. So the very good place would be this map page. So I'm gonna use BLoC provider here, and that would be map BLoC, and yes, we have it. But now, as you remember, if we are providing BLoC here, we cannot use it in the same class. So I'm gonna create another class that would be map view with underscore. It is stateless widget as well, and here I'm gonna paste all of this. That's a return, so it should be like this. Okay, and here we're going to use as a child map view. And here we should add this sign, and it looks pretty good. And now we can wrap our scaffold with BLoC builder. Of course, that would be map BLoC, map state, and here I'm sure that we can use state.latitude and state.longitude. And we have it. This might be const. And yeah, we have some problems. Before we annotate it, we should resolve it. So let's go there and check it. Of course, we deleted counter, but we didn't delete import. So I'm gonna import Flutter Maps map.dart, and here instead of counter page I'm gonna say map page. Okay, and it is. We have our map almost immediately. That's pretty nice that it works. Also, let's solve these problems. Here's a test, so for now we can delete it. We'll take care of that later. And yeah, we will pass this location API to our app.dart later as well. When we are looking at this map, I think that it would be nice to have some marker where is our current location. So let's add it. Let's go to MapWidget, and here we have children. And in children, let's create marker layer. That would be another child, marker layer. And as we can see, this marker layer takes marker as a list of markers. And here we can create some markers. So just to have clean code, I'm gonna create another method for that. It will return marker, and let's name it searching point marker. And I'm gonna require the coordinates. And this method should return marker, where point is our coordinates. And builder, what is builder? Builder is another method, another function. So again, let's create separate method for that. It will return widget, because this method builder returns widget, and we are going to name it searching point marker builder. And the only thing that we need here is just a context. And we are going to return icon. That would be icons.place. And we can use this method here. And as markers, we have searching point marker here. And of course, this function takes coordinates, so we can pass searching point. And we have this marker. So maybe let's go here and let's customize it a little bit. I'm gonna add size. Let's say that would be 30. And I'm gonna add some color. But before we add some color, let's create some separate file for our app colors. So let's create another folder in our lib. That would be theme. And in theme, we are going to have app colors .dart, and maybe let's create also theme data. We will provide some data here later, and barrel file, of course, theme.dart. And here we want to have export app colors and export theme data. Let's go to app color, and I'm gonna import material.dart, and that would be app colors class. And here we're gonna have static const white, and for now it can be just colors white. but also I'm gonna create red color here. And let's change this red a little bit. Yeah, that might be something like that. Let's go back to our marker. So that would be MapWidget. And here we can import these app colors. So that would be theme.dart. And in our searching point marker builder, I'm going to use it. So the icon, color of the icon would be app colors.red. Yeah, and it is, I think it is much more visible. We created the theme data file, so maybe let's say something why this file. So let's go to our app.dart and we have theme here. So the idea is to not provide all data here, but just to move it to separate class, to separate file. So let's do it. Let's go to our theme data, and I'm gonna import material.dart, of course, and create app theme class. And here I'm gonna have static theme data. And that's pretty nice that you can have dark mode or light mode, and you can provide it here. So I can switch it programmatically. So yeah, if you are interested in that, I also can recommend you my other videos how to use, for example, dark mode in your app. But for now, I'm gonna return theme data, and actually all we need here is primary color. That would be to use app colors, we should import it first. Theme app colors.white and text theme. Here we have text theme. And I'm gonna provide some theme of the headlines. So as you can see, we have headline 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's create it. Let's set our headline, maybe headline 3. That would be textile. Textile has color. That would be app colors dot. We can add also black here. For now, it would be the same. So let's use black color here. Font weight. Dot bold and font size, and that will be 16. And let's copy these and create also headline 4, 5 and 6. 4 will have white color. Headline 5 also has white color, but style is font style would be italic. Font size 16 is okay, and we'll have headline 6 with black color, font size 14 and font weight normal. And I think that's it. So now we can use it in our app. So let's go to our app.dart and we need to import our theme. And instead of creating the theme data here, we can simply use our uptheme.light. That's pretty nice that if you create a dark, that would be possible to use dark theme here as well. So again, I can direct you to my other videos in that case. When we are looking at map, it's pretty nice, but some location input is missing, so we want to give the user a possibility to search a location. So let's create another feature folder, and that would be location input. Oh, sorry, I cannot write. One more time. Location input. And you may ask why I'm creating another folder. Is it another feature? Why I cannot just create a widget here? Of course I can, and it's not a bad idea, but because our project is so small, actually it is only one feature, we can split it into two, so we can create separately map feature folder and separately location input feature folder. That's one reason, but another reason is connected with stream of data. So we do not use a locations repository in our map BLoC. That's another reason. So let's start it from providing the service. So let's create a service folder. Also we'll have widgets, but let's focus on service now. And in service folder we'll have service, maybe location input service.dart. And here I'm gonna, we can create barrel file as well. Service.dart, and export this file. And in location input service, I'm gonna import our locations repository. Oops, we don't have it. So let's go to our pub/spec, and as like location API client, we should add to that, but add our locations repository package and add it to our dependencies. Provide a path to this repository. I made some mistake. Locations repository. Locations repository. It doesn't exist, so maybe let's check what went wrong. Locations repository in packages. So yeah, packages. That's my bad. Sorry. Okay. Now, if we want to use it here, one more time. Locations repository. Yes, we have it. Great. And I'm gonna create location input service. And in this class, the only parameter would be a locations repository. I'm gonna create generate a constructor, move it above, and let's create a method here that would be future. It will return future list of locations. let's name it get suggestions. Of course, it can be get locations, but let's remember about the use of this method. So we are going to use it in input and pass suggestions. As a parameter, we're gonna pass searching word, and we can return a list of locations. But at the beginning, let's say that if searching word length is smaller than 3, we don't want to call a request. Final suggestions equals await. So again, we should mark our function as asynchronous. Await LocationsRepository.get location, and here we have searching word. And we can return this suggestions list. If searching word length is smaller than 3, we can return just empty list. Okay, our location input service is ready, but as you can see, we have to pass LocationsRepository as a parameter in the constructor. So probably we'll have it from context of our app, but just to have it, we should provide it first in our app. So at the beginning, let's go to our main development. Let's import this package. So import LocationsRepository, and let's initialize it. And as a parameter, we pass a location API client. Great, then we have to pass it to our app. So let's go to our app. Let's import this repository, so LocationsRepository. And let's create a property underscore LocationsRepository, and let's add it to constructor parameters. Nice, we have it. So now we want to provide it to our app. So I'm gonna wrap my material app with repository provider. And instead of this normal method, I'm gonna use value, repository provider dot value. And value, it would be, of course, locations repository. We have some error here, so probably we forgot to add Flutter BLoC import. Yes, now it works. So as we have our locations repository provided and we have a location input service, we are ready to start creating location input. So in location input widgets, I'm gonna create location input.dart, and that would be a widget. So let's import material.dart. We need to import also Flutter BLoC and locations repository, because we have our location model there. Maybe also theme. And we want to have our service, location input service. So of course also we want to import our barrel file, but as I can see we don't have any. So let's create a barrel file for our widgets. And now barrel file for whole functionality, location input. And here we're going to export service.dart, and export widgets.dart. I see that I made a mistake with service, so let's repair it. Let's rename it. Let's add R here, service. And now it seems okay. One fast look on service, whether here it is correct. Yes, this is correct. Okay, so we have this barrel file. Also, let's export location input here, and in our location input widget we can import our location input barrel file. And now let's create a location input, which is a stateless widget actually. And now let's return autocomplete widget. So we want to return autocomplete widget. And parameter which is needed, which is required, is optionsViewBuilder. And in our case, we want to call our service location input service. But for doing that, first we should initialize it. So final location input service equals constructor. And we should pass a location repository here. So we have it in our context.read locations repository. And yes, so we have it. So now we can use it. So in optionsViewBuilder, I'm gonna, how it looks like. So first, let's say that our autocomplete widget will work not on string but on location model, and here our optionsViewBuilder should be a function that takes text editing value and return a list of location. So I'm going to say final options equals, of course it should be await, so this function should be asynchronous, await, and I'm going to call our location input service dot get suggestions. And searching word would be text editing value dot text. So we have our options. Now all we need is return it. Nice. It seems that we have our widget. So let's use it. Of course, we have to customize it. But for now, let's go to our map page. And in map page, I'm gonna import this location input. And we want to display it, you can include it in your widgets tree on many different ways, but for this example, I think that might be interesting to use floating action button here. And here we want to pass input, location input. Let's restart the app. We have some errors, so let's go here. Of course, we forgot to pass our locations repository to app, because it is a requirement. So locations repository, of course that will not be a constant value anymore. And now we have it, so let's try to restart the app. And as you can see, it's not visible clearly, but we have this underline and we can tap something here. So we have this input here. Of course, it doesn't show us any suggestions yet, but we'll work on that now. So let's add some styling to our input. So I'm going to go to location input widget, and now in our autocomplete we have probably some commas are missing here. Yes, now it looks a little bit better. So in our autocomplete widget we have a text field, we have options builder, we have displayed string for option, field view builder, and that's a function that returns widget, and it takes build context, text editing controller, focus node, and some function. So let's add it. Field view builder. Oh, we have it. We have some suggestions. My recommendation is to move it to separate method. So this method will return widget, and I'm gonna name it like text field. And what we should have as a parameters, so we have context. Let's copy and paste it. Context, yeah, maybe also something like that. And context is, of course, build context. Next we have text editing controller. And next we have focus node. And on field submitted is void function. Okay, so we have it, and we're going to use it here. Nice. And now in text field method, we want to return a text field. At the beginning, we should pass a controller as a text editing controller, focus, and style. Style of the input text, that would be theme of context, and we're gonna use headline 4. Also, let's add some decoration here. So that would be input decoration. And here we have, let's start with fill true. Let's add fill color. Again, it's good to have this color in our app colors, and as on the layout, you know, I'm gonna use some opacity. So let's go to our app colors and let's create another color that would be dark color, and it equals colors dot black with opacity, let's say 0.55. Let's go back to our location input widget, and hopefully we can use it now. So I'm going to say app colors dot dark color. Nice, we have it, and as you can see, it has very nice opacity. Also, let's add content padding. And as you remember, we have some prefix icon, which is search icon with white colors, app colors.white. And we do not want for now any action on press, so it would be null, and it can be const. Sorry, not the icon, but the icon button. And we have a suffix icon, so I'm gonna copy this and paste it here. At this time that would be clear, and on press we want to clear the text editing controller. This time it shouldn't be const. Okay. So then let's add hint text as well. And normally you can have some string here. So for example, if you don't use very good CLI, you can put, for example, location string here. And of course, it works. You have this location hint text. Maybe at the beginning, let's add some padding here. Some style, hint style, and it would be theme of context dot texting, and we're gonna use headline 5. Nice. So if you do not use very good CLI, you can do it that way. But if you use very good CLI, go to your ARB, and here I'm gonna use or add find location translation, and the description, of course, that would be no longer counter app bar title, but rather just find location. Also, we can copy and paste it here, and the description is hint text of the location input text field. Okay, so we have it. We may return here, and to use it, we should first use alt and in from context. we should import this first. So import L10N package. And now we should be able to, yeah, we have it. And just to use it, simply use L10N dot find location. And yes, the output is the same, so we have it. So next, yeah, I highly recommend you to use this library, to not use string in your code. It's not readable. It's much better to move it to separate file, and also it's much easier when you want to provide some translations. Another thing that we want to provide is border. So let's add focus border as outline border, and actually all we have here is border radius. And again, I think that it would be nice to move this radius to separate const in that particular example. So at the beginning and above our build method, I'm gonna create static const input border radius equals, let's say, 25, and now we can use it. Input border radius. Nice. And let's create another outline input border, this time for enabled border. And I think that it would be the same. But as you can see, our location input is at the bottom and it is not in our desired position. So let's go to our map page, and as we have floating action button property, we have also floating action button location property. And we're gonna pick center top. Nice. Also, I would add some margin here. So let's go back to our input, I mean location input widget, and here let's wrap our text field with a container, and let's add some margin here. Sorry. Symmetric, and it will be only horizontal. And again, I think that it would be nice to move this margin to const, the same like here. So I'm gonna say main margin equals let's say 12. Here I see that I made a mistake. That's a double underscore. That should be single. So also let's fix it. And here we're going to use this main margin. Yeah, it looks way better, right? Const. Okay. So now let's try to type something. Let's say London. And as you can see, our get suggestions service works, but we cannot see actually labels on the instance of location. So we should add display string for option, and for option, actually option is a location, so we're going to display option.label. And now, as you can see, we can scroll this list and it looks very nice. We can also use arrows to select. Have some unnecessary parentheses here, so let's remove it. Yes. And now, as you can see, for example, when we write London and press on that, nothing happened. So let's create one more property here. That would be onSelected function, because Autocomplete widget provides us onSelected. And what is it? There's a function. So let's copy this, paste it here, and we want to pass this as a parameter for our widget. And now we can use it here onSelected. So now when we are calling location input widget, we should pass also this onSelected method. So let's go to MapPage, and here we have our floating action button, which is location input, and we know that onSelected method is needed. So what we're gonna do is to use a BLoC here. So that would be context.read map BLoC add, and we are going to add event show location, and coordinates of that should be, of course, should be taken from the state. So it would be state.latitude and state.longitude. We are missing something here, and of course it is onSelected. Sorry, my bad, it's not state. Because this onSelected, we have a location here as a parameter, location, so we want to use location, of course, my bad, sorry. And how about now? We have some problems, hopefully not. So let's try to pass something like, for example, Warshire. It doesn't work. That's interesting. That's interesting fact. And actually, that's interesting fact about this widget, Flutter Map. It's not rebuilt, even if we use BLoC Builder here. It's the same instance of this widget. So just to recognize and just to create another instance of this widget, we want to use a key in MapWidget. So I'm going to use key, and key would be, let's say that it would be map, and let's use coordinate to make some difference between these two widgets. So that would be state.latitude and longitude. How about now? You see, it works. So if you are new, if you are learning Flutter, also you can find some documentation about key, why we are using them. I think this example is pretty good with this widget. Also, you can find more examples in my videos. So let's restart it and let's try one more time. We are in London. Let's go to Vegas. Vegas, Nevada, USA. Yes, it works. So as you can see, our app works pretty nice, but the only difference between layout, I mean presentation that we had at the beginning, and this app is this list of suggestions. I would like to add some title and subtitle here. So let's say the title would be the name of the city or name of the location, and subtitle would be this label that we can see now. So city, country, or state, any other important information. So let's go to our location input widget, and unfortunately there's no easy way to do it, like simply add title or subtitle, but Autocomplete widget gives us such a property named optionsViewBuilder. So let's use it. OptionsViewBuilder. It takes context on selected and options. So again, we want to create separate function for that, and we are going to return a widget. So let's go at the button, and we want to return widget. Let's name it optionsViewBuilder. Let's paste it the same parameter. So context, of course, that would be build context. On selected is void function. And options, it's iterable locations options. Okay, so now let me provide this widget. First, of course, we can use it here. Nice. And now let's create it. So I'm gonna use list view builder. And here I'm gonna return list style, and as we know, list style has a title, and here we can use option name, and it has, maybe let's add some style here as well. And I'm gonna use headline 3. The same would be with subtitle, and that's the reason why we are doing this. subtitle, and in subtitle we want to have our label and headline 6. Okay, so we have our list style. Probably it is not working now. Yes, so something that we have to do is to use a line above, so wrap it with a line widget with alignment dot top center. Then we want to wrap our list view with material because it is missing. And yeah, we have our list. So now we want to set boundaries. We want to set a height of this container, of this list. So let's play with math a little bit. I'm gonna use screen height and use media query here. Dot size dot height. And I'm gonna set default item height to 80. And now I'm gonna calculate the list height as a half of the screen height. Now we will wrap our align widget with a container, which will have margin. So as you can see, we add some margin that the width for our list is the same width as our text field without radius. And now let's add a container box. So let's wrap our list view builder with a constrained box with constraints max height, which is list height. And yeah, we forgot also to add some size box on a list style. So let's do it. Let's add size box, and the height of this should be item height. And now we have the same, we have very good height of this list because there is no half an item, there is no 1/3 of the item. It is exactly what we desire. But as you can see, now when we use this options view builder, we cannot tap. I'm trying to tap, but I cannot. So remember that if you use it, if you customize your autocomplete options builder, you have to provide also a gesture detector on your list tile. So I'm gonna wrap it with widget, gesture detector, and on top we want to do on select on the option. And also that's iPhone, so you cannot see a keyboard. I mean, because that's a setting that I have. But if you want to hide the keyboard after tapping on the option, use focus manager, instance, primary focus, unfocus. Okay, and now it looks great, but also let's add some divider here. So I'm gonna wrap my gesture detector with a column, and that should be expanded. And at the bottom, we want to add divider with height 1. Yeah, as you can see, we have this very nice divider here. So let's clean here a little bit. We have unnecessary parentheses, so let's remove it. Also, we have some imports that we can sort. And that's it. Maybe another thing, if we try to tap London, you can see that if the label is very long, it goes to second line and it doesn't look good. So let's go to our location input widget, and in our options view builder, in our subtitle, let's add max lines 1 and also overflow, and that is text overflow dot ellipsis, and it looks way better. And that's it. Our app is ready. So we have a map, we have a marker on the location, we have a location input, so we can find, for example, Los Angeles. We have a list. This list is limited. Height of this list is limited. It's not on the whole screen. When we tap on the item, it directs us there. We have a marker. It works pretty good. We can clear it and find another location. So app works perfectly. Hoping you enjoy it. If you miss something, you can find a repository with this project on my GitHub. So also you can check it. And yes, maybe a few comments about what you can add it. So I think that it would be interesting to add some floating action button at the bottom of the screen to that this button will direct you to your current GPS location. That might be interesting. Another feature that might be interesting is what if you tap on the screen. So you can use some gesture detector to show some information, pop up with some information about this place. So for example, what is the name of this place, or show other information, and many different others. Actually, you may find some packages for especially this first feature that I mentioned. Let me know in the comments what you choose, and maybe give me some feedback how you develop this app. So again, hoping you enjoy it. You can subscribe my channel to view other Flutter videos, Flutter app, mobile app development. So see ya.